However, jockey change this afternoon. Jason Maguire obviously takes over in the saddle for the first time aboard him. Shaped very well in the King George before that when he just didn't quite get home, and he actually finished in front of Q Card in that race, who also shaped well, having not got home.
We mustn't forget the title holders. 2 wins in this race, Alberta's Run, and last year's winner Riverside Theatre. Maybe Barry Geraghty won that race. But they're heading out for the Ryanair, so let's go and join Richard Hoyles.
And they're off, racing for the Ryanair Chase, registered the Festival Trophy Chase, Grade 1 contest, and the Q Card it is who bounds on towards the first with Champion Court and Alberta's Run. And they the first 3 over. Riverside Theatre took it in 4th for non-stop. First Lieutenant towards the outside at this stage of Gizeo. Manora held up towards the tail, so racing on towards the second. Q Card picked up in front of Champion Court. At the back of the field, Manora was just pushed along on landing over the second, and the pace is pretty generous. Alberta's Run at this stage is a couple of lengths off it in 3rd place, with Riverside Theatre, Gizeo and First Lieutenant as they approach the 3rd, at which Q Card was wrong and gave it a clout. That allowed Champion Court to jump back alongside. Never looked in danger of coming down, but it was a less than fluent leap by Q Card. He has a long run now to contemplate that on the run towards the 4th, and still Manora just squeezed along at the back of the field. The pace appears pretty generous with Q Card and Champion Court a side-by-side round the turn. First Lieutenant's made ground, moves through to dispute 3rd place with Alberta's Run. The previous winner of this race as well, Riverside Theatre, with Gizeo, Manora and 4 non-stop as they turn up the home straight for the first time. 4 plain fences await them. On the right with the noseband Q Card, the left to Champion Court as they rise at the 4th. Over First Lieutenant with Riverside Theatre and Alberta's Run. Then Gizeo with 4 non-stop getting closer, and Manora still at the back of the field. Champion Court seeing a stride a long way out there, sails over it with Q Card. From First Lieutenant Alberta's Run, Riverside Theatre for non-stop Gizeo. And still towards the tail of the field is Manora, who is just been slightly laboured in the early stages, Manora, particularly with the horse who in the past has shown pace over shorter. He is at the back end by 2 or 3 lengths, but a long way to go, as Q Card and Champion Court lead over the next. Good leap by First Lieutenant puts him onto the heels of the leaders with Riverside Theatre. Tony McCoy just humouring Alberta's Run, who's drifted back in the field and is just inclined to hang left-handed slightly for non-stop and Gizeo, as these two continuing to jump well out in front. Gizeo made a slight mistake. So Champion Court and Q Card are going to ensure this is a reasonable test. They race side by side all the way up the home straight. Q Card with half a length advantage from Champion Court in second. 4 lengths back to First Lieutenant. Riverside Theatre in the red and white colours. For non-stop up the inside, Alberta's Run just shunted along slightly on the outside of Gizeo. And Manora at the back of the field is travelling a little better and still close enough to the main body of the field, who head towards another plain one, racing away from the stands. And it's Q Card who leads Champion Court. First Lieutenant, Riverside Theatre are the next pair as they take the next again. Q Card not quite as fluent as Champion Court, but at this stage the mistakes aren't costing him too much. First Lieutenant in third, Alberta's Run being pushed along now. Tony McCoy hasn't been happy for a while. He's drifting right back to the rear of the field over the water. Q Card over with 8 to jump from Champion Court. In third place, First Lieutenant for non-stop is getting closer. Riverside Theatre for the first time is pushed along. Then Gizeo. Alberta's Run is now last as Manora goes past him, and Alberta's Run may well not be persevered with for too much longer. He's dropped towards the rear of the field, and I think he's about to call it a day. So Champion Court and Q Card as Alberta's Run does indeed pull up. First Lieutenant in third place, then for non-stop, who's moved through into fourth. In fifth place, Riverside Theatre, then Gizeo. A long gap back now to Manora as they make the turn and continue to climb uphill. 6 now from the finish. Champion Court on the outside of Q Card. First Lieutenant poised in third place, for non-stop in fourth. Gizeo, Riverside Theatre, as with 12 months to go, has a long to do in sixth place, but he did pull it out of the fire on that occasion as they come down for the fifth last. Q Card from Champion Court. Q Card opening up. First Lieutenant in third, for non-stop all the time, creeping closer. Then Gizeo, and back in sixth place is Riverside Theatre, and they're now miles clear of Manora, who I think may well have pulled up before that fence. So running down towards the fourth last, Q Card, with now First Lieutenant emerging on the scene, jumps up into second. Champion Court is third. Gizeo, when weakening, makes a shuddering mistake. Q Card with First Lieutenant now right on his hammer as they run down towards the third last. All the time, Noel Feely creeping closer on
for Non-Stop. The red colours towards the inside, and Champion Court trying gallantly to raise another effort. Over the next, the First Lieutenant was down on his nose, and Q-Card's rider looks across, and that mistake, First Lieutenant under pressure for Non-Stop and Champion Court trying to rally. Q-Card still held together on this turn towards the second last, leads the Ryanair chase for Non-Stop, First Lieutenant and Champion Court, three snapping at his heels but still sitting pretty out in front. Joe Tizard on Q-Card, Champion Court raising another effort, First Lieutenant trying to gather reserves, then for Non-Stop Riverside Theatre, two from home. Q-Card is over from Champion Court and First Lieutenant, and it's Q-Card by 3 or 4 lengths. Champion Court, First Lieutenant, and for Non-Stop away from Riverside Theatre. The last for Q-Card, he sees a good stride, he's over. First Lieutenant 6 lengths down, and off at the run-in, it's Q-Card pricking his ears, having a long look around, but he's got a big lead over First Lieutenant. Champion Court, Riverside Theatre's flying up the hill, may grab a place, but that's all it'll be, because Q-Card win at the bumper in 2010, wins the Ryanair in 2013. Second, First Lieutenant tight for third. For Non-Stop and the rallying Riverside Theatre, Champion Court fifth, Gizao last of the 6 to finish.
Fantastic stuff from Joe Tizard. Q-Card has won, jumping boldly. He hit the third, but apart from that, he was pretty flawless. It was a bold ride from Joe Tizard, essentially going on from 5 out, but he saw them off one by one, and he has won this Ryanair chase for Colin Tizard, the trainer's second victory of the week. He brought his team here in fantastic form, and he'll be very, very proud of what his son has achieved here on the fine horse Q-Card. Second, First Lieutenant, a critical error, 3 out, but perhaps having travelled well, his chance was muted in the closing stages, but a big ride for Ryan Cooper to take over from Davy Russell for Mas Morris. They've grabbed second. For Non-Stop, Noel Feely tried to creep into the race. He's grabbed third, just held on for Nick Williams on that horse, and Barry Geraghty has managed to conjure Riverside Theatre into 4th place, running on up the hill after that horse seemed to be struggling. Champion Court, who played his part in the race, was really walking up the hill, and he's forfeited many, many places. And just a quick word for the dual winner of this race, Alberta's Run, who never seemed to be going, but don't forget that that 12-year-old was a mighty fine horse, and it's a shame to see him running so mutedly here today, but hopefully he might be back. But he was pulled up ultimately. The winner, though, of the Ryanair chase is Q-Card, Chris.
A phrase that's regularly used erroneously, in my opinion, is that a horse has done it the hard way from the front when they've had an easy time. But he has done it the hard way from the front, because he didn't get a moment's rest from Champion Court, and from some way out you thought, well, when's this pace going to collapse? Because they'd almost lit each other up from an early stage, and that mistake, Q-Card got the early lead, and then a mistake at the third allowed Champion Court to get back beside him, and then they both wanted to lead from there, and then they pressed on again a long way from home. It was 5 out, and he winged the 4th last, which has really helped him. And then at the 3rd last, First Lieutenant made a mistake, and that's probably one of the key moments of the race. I think he'd probably have won anyway, but he's gone hard, he's worn his heart on his sleeve there, and it's a really good performance.